Back in 2007, the Devil May Cry series was at the height of its popularity, after Devil May Cry 3 came out, becoming one of Capcom's flagship titles with a fourth game on the way. For the sake of cashing in on the already existing hype, the folks over at Capcom decided to commission Madhouse for an anime tie-in, based on these games because of their work on Hellsing Ultimate, giving us the 2007 DMC anime. Hello, it's the Devil Joe, back again with a brand new video, and today I'll be taking a look at the old Devil May Cry Madhouse anime, in cautious anticipation for the new Netflix anime, finding 5 things it did right and 5 things it did wrong. Without further ado, let's get this party started. Starting off with the 5 things that it got right. First thing it got right is the post-Devil May Cry 1 personality that DMC2 got wrong. What I really like about this show is the handling of Dante post-killing Virgil twice, is how they got his mood and demeanor right. In the anime, you can clearly see that the dude is depressed and down on a 24/7 basis. But at the same time, he still has that same sense of humor intact, and it's way colder than it usually is. He's still roasting a lot of the demons that come his way, but the heavy disinterest still shows. Whenever he's taking on them day-to-day lesser devils, sure, he might be taking out his depression on these targets, but the disinterest and sadness are kicking in hard. And why wouldn't they? The guy was forced to murder the only family he had at this point twice, for the sake of the world not falling apart. So that PTSD is bound to kick in. To anyone who played the games and kept up with the lore already knows that he's thinking about Virgil 24/7. Hell, the dude closes himself off to people who he has close ties to, using his humor to put him off from hitting his general direction, but somehow that backfires. Plus disinterest being a thing, since demons breaking into the human world is a typical Tuesday tone. But the dry humor still lands hard, and Ruben Langdon's performance sells this more bad mood Dante. If Capcom is thinking of going for a Devil May Cry 2 remake, this Dante should be the template for DMC2 remake Dante, if that ever becomes a thing. I'm just saying, the anime gave us a better DMC2 Dante than DMC2 itself. Second thing it did right was that art style. I mean, for real, these character models are pretty sharp looking. For one, the translation of Dante's DMC1 attire is pretty damn seamless. All them details are brought into the design, without the funky PS2 textures messing a few things up. It's eye candy to look at. Lady and Trish's translation into the anime is grade A waifu material. Some of the action poses that are struck in the show can give a few JoJo characters a run for their money, giving you an endless supply of kick-ass wallpaper. To top it off, some of the backgrounds and lighting effects do suit the series' aesthetic that was presented in Devil May Cry 1 and especially 3. The anime setting is modeled after DMC3's aesthetics, because that game showed what Dante's neighborhood looks like outside of Temini Gru and Malay Castle. I think this is supposed to be Redgrave City, as the perfect representation of the DMC aesthetic. Rebellion, Ebony, and Ivory never looked better in anime form. One thing that this show got right is showing us how Dante's life outside of world-ending events goes. In every single DMC game, there has always been a world-ending event happening. I don't know, Moon is trying to break into the human world, Virgil summoning a huge tower from hell joining both dimensions, causing genocide like a certain entity. Back to the topic at hand. In the anime, you see how Dante usually gets his jobs. In the Devil May Cry shop by the way of his tight-fisted broker Morrison, getting him shit-paying jobs. Or it's probably a mix of collateral damage and bad financial management on Dante's part. Every other week, there's some sort of demon trying to barge in, trying to take over the world or cause a ruckus, over at Redgrave. So you find Dante going in on random ass missions killing off various devils up to different acts of evil. That brings me to the next thing they got right. The next thing they got right are the episodic plots. Some of these scenarios they put Dante in are fun little side missions that he goes on. At times they're indirectly given to him. These scenarios involve biker gangs, a lesser demon falling in love with a human, some dude stalking Dante to find some dirt on him, Sparta's red hand demons trying to hunt down Dante, developing the wacky woohoo pizza man's character in short bursts, along with the mainish cast of Patty, Morrison, Lady, and Trish, bringing me on to the next point. The next thing they got right is the utilization of Lady and Trish. They're pretty involved in some of the show's events. Lady can give Dante a job, she'll even tag along on said job. There's one episode that shows you how Lady and Trish first met. Trust me, in this episode alone they get more screen time than both DMC 4 and 5 combined. The character development isn't expanded on or anything, but they're actually doing something. Some of you guys might not agree with what I have to say, but I think that adding Patty into the mix was a stroke of genius for the show. For one, she's the same exact age that Dante was when he first witnessed his mom dying in front of his eyes, and thinking Virgil was dead at the time. Like the wacky woohoo pizza man himself, the kid is an orphan. He might act like the cold, uncaring adult figure in her life, but Dante cares for her safety and well-being, a lot more than he lets on about. Going so far as not getting her any PTSD from all of the bloodied corpses that'll be found from his line of work, like covering her eyes when he's about to shoot a demon, to literally pulling down curtains to avoid the sight of the creepy crawlies and the blood. not wanting her to see what he saw back then. Throughout the show, Dante in a way connects with the kid, seeing a bit of himself in her. The show ends off with Dante handing Patty over to her long-lost mom, preventing the same tragedy that happened to him from happening to this kid. An ending like that puts a smile on my face, not gonna lie. Now on to the 5 things that this show got wrong. First thing they got wrong is the off-screen action. The action scenes in the show go something like this. You only get 2/3 of on-screen action, with the rest of the fight fading to black. I mean, for real, most of the final kills are off-screen. Like, what the hell happened? Did the animators quit or something mid-storyboard? Which is one hell of a letdown. I mean, it's Devil May Cry we're talking here. A game series known for its action, especially coming off of the tales of Devil May Cry 3 that had cutscenes like this. And the community were making combos like this. In a DMC anime, action has to be number 1 on the priority list. Some people will say making action scenes for a DMC anime is impossible because it's a video game. I would normally agree, but these are the same guys who bought us Hellsing Ultimate. That show had a ton of kick-ass action. Other animes at the time of release and since then have given us beautiful looking demon-slaying action scenes that would have been great for a Devil May Cry anime. I just hope the new Netflix show delivers on the action. It's looking quite promising. I have some pretty solid hopes for that aspect alone. Second thing it fumbled is the plot direction. Now, I've praised the episodic nature of the anime, but there's one thing that it falls short in, and that's the overarching narrative that adds nothing new to the DMC verse. I'm mainly talking about Sid, this hobo-looking motherfucker who's supposed to tie the entire show together. In the first half of the show, you can forget that he's even a part of the anime. That's how uninvolved he is. They give him something to do right at the Make-A-Wish episode, collecting some key artifacts to make himself a mega demon. Basically, Arius' stick from Devil May Cry 2. As an overarching villain, I don't feel intimidated by him. In fact, he's a nothing burger for Dante. After his power nap, he comes back in the 12th episode, and you guessed it, an off-screen final battle without a devil trigger in sight. For the love of God, I hope that Addy has brought in devil triggers into the mix. And he dies off in a cool-ass shot till you forget about him, adding nothing new to the DMC verse. For that reason, the overarching plot falls apart. Third thing they fucked up is the on-screen action. In regards to action for this show, we're talking Devil May Cry here, an action game series known for, you guessed it, its action. The fights here only involve slash slash shoot shoot. At first that's fine, but we're working with a half-demon adrenaline junkie who screams wahoo while going demon surfing, doing different acrobatic tricks along the way, with a whole power set to boot. In the anime, you see none of that shit. There are a few acrobatics here and there, but it ain't nothing to write home about. The fights you get to see only have Dante slashing with Rebellion or shooting with Ebony and Ivory. It's fine for the first episode, but come on, man. I want to see charge shots, million stabs, and fast dodges, rainstorms. Show us the dude's power. And again, the worst offender, no devil trigger. You know this came after Devil May Cry 3, right? The game where you can do shit like this. That's only with the sword and guns. I mean, at least use a few cutscenes and the odd gameplay clips for inspiration. For the action scenes, you're the same people who had a hand in making Hellsing Ultimate, which had some off-the-wall action for an anime. There are a shit ton of animes out there that have fight scenes that would work well for a Devil May Cry anime. I hope that Addy delivers on the fight scenes. The fourth thing this show fumbled is everything dying to Dante in 2 seconds or less. There's nothing wrong with overpowered main characters. The problem comes in when they're not going through any obstacles. The reason why Dragon Ball Z and other shonens managed to last this long is because the pro tag always had some dude stronger than him to challenge him, getting the main character to flex the powers he has and gain new ones. I know the show was going for more of a Dante's average day in the life, but at least keep these guys on medium difficulty to have Dante use more strategies than shooting and slashing. The fifth thing they got wrong is the static animations. In the fight scenes, some of these animations can be finicky, especially action scenes, because of the realistic looking animation. Here's what I mean. The detailed art style can be pretty difficult to animate, to get some kinetic action scenes in play. A good example would be the 90s Spider-Man and Spectacular side by side. In the 90s Spider-Man show, the art style is pretty damn detailed, and looks like something John Romita Sr. would draw up, but it was hard to animate. So they ended up reusing a few shots and backgrounds. The action in that show felt very samey at times. Take a look at Spectacular Spider-Man. The art style is so simple that some people thought that the show was going to be an absolute failure before it came out. Once the show aired, oh lord, them high-octane kinetic action scenes that hit so damn hard because this art style is ridiculously easy to animate, allowing the animators to get as creative as they'd like. If you want to have both, then the studio will have to pay out the ass. These shows do exist, but most of the time the budget was through the roof. This anime runs into the problem of detailed art being too difficult to animate, or Madhouse spent less cash on this one. The fight scenes resort to a few slashes and then it cuts to black. The thing that has given me hope for this show is the Visions of V art style, hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. The slender looking animation looks simple, so it's gonna be easy to animate, while looking pretty damn good in its own right. I just hope that we get some kick-ass action worthy of the Devil May Cry label. And now we know the 5 things the show did well and the 5 other things the show didn't do so well. We come to the end of this video. What were your guys' thoughts on it? And what did the anime do right and wrong in your opinion? Let me know in the comments down below. This anime was fun to go back to. It's a pretty solid show for hardcore DMC fans. I won't recommend it to anyone new to the series, because the setbacks could turn new people off of it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button, and smash that subscribe button real impact style, and ring the bell to get updated on whenever I drop a brand new Devil May Cry or other action game video. This has been the Devil Joe signing out.
Whoa!